Picture this. It's 3 a.m., you're in a Ford design lab, someone's screaming about mid-engines, there's a Capri on fire in the corner, and a mysterious Italian guy just slid a sketch across the table like it's state secrets. Well, okay, maybe things didn't happen exactly like that, but you get the picture. Welcome to the story of 10 rare and unique Fords that, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you feel, never saw mass production. If you've ever wondered what might happen if a spaceship and a car brochure joined forces, Ford gave a pretty clear idea in 1955 with the Mystere. This wasn't your typical Sunday cruiser. It had a full glass bubble canopy, a steering wheel that slid from one side to the other, and was supposed to be powered by a gas turbine. Though in reality, it didn't have an engine at all. It was never meant to hit showrooms, but it sure hit headlines. With its rear engine bay, giant wheel discs, and fins sharp enough to slice bread, the Mystere leaned fully into futuristic flair. Ford knew exactly what they were doing. This was a rolling press magnet. It had no sliding windows, no corner windshield posts, and no intention of being street legal. It was fully air-conditioned, bringing a bit of comfort to its futuristic design. Next on this list is something that looked like it rolled straight out of a sci-fi comic, the Ford Gyron, but it was actually more radical than a lot of the wilder concept cars out there. From the exterior, it had clean, streamlined looks and a fiberglass body, but the real shocker was what kept it standing. This thing balanced on two wheels thanks to internal gyroscopes. Yes, gyroscopes. It was basically a motorcycle that didn't need to lean. At low speeds or when parked, small jockey wheels would pop out to keep it steady. Otherwise, it handled more like a two-wheeled spaceship than anything you'd expect from Ford. Forget your regular steering wheel. This one had a dial between the seats. Want to steer? Just twist. Need to brake? Use foot pads. And in true Jetsons fashion, it came with talk of a built-in computer system that could let you program your entire drive, complete with a snooper scope screen to see through fog or darkness. Oh, and of course there was a cordless push-button phone because, why not? The Gyron was all about research and imagination. Sadly, the only working prototype was lost in a fire at the Ford Rotunda in 1962, but for a brief moment, it showed just how weird and wonderful the future of driving could look. Coming up next is a car that tried to bottle some of the GT40's magic and sell it to the public, the Ford Mach 2. This one came from Ford's Advanced Concepts department, and with Roy Lunn, one of the minds behind the GT40, leading the charge, it was a serious contender. The Mach 2 was a low-slung mid-engine two-seater, packing a 289 cubic inch V8 straight from the Mustang. It sat just 47 inches high, had independent rear suspension, and weighed around 2,650 pounds. Ford even aimed to launch it at $7,500, which, for the curious, would be around $71,000 in today's money. They plan to build 500 in the first year and scale up from there. This car had solid engineering too, semi-monocoque steel construction underneath, a fiberglass body, and clever airflow management that pulled in air through the nose and pushed it out the front deck, with two electric fans to keep things cool. But like so many promising concepts, it never made it past the planning stage. Changing priorities and delays left it sitting on the sidelines. Still, for a brief moment, the Mach 2 looked like it could have been Ford's next Cobra, with the engine moved behind your shoulders. Next up is the Ford Comuta, a small electric car Ford experimented with long before the current electric vehicle push. At just 6 feet 8 inches long, the Comuta was compact enough that 3 of them could fit into a standard parking space. It had a turning circle of just 18 feet, and with no clutch or gears, it offered automatic driving for easy operation. Designed for urban life, the Comuta could carry 2 adults and 2 children, or all your shopping, and came with features like dipping headlamps, anti-burst locks, and even a heating and cooling system for comfort. It had independent suspension on all 4 wheels, and the rear wheels were powered by 2 electric motors, driven by a set of four 12-volt batteries. The car had a range of up to 37 miles and a top speed of 37 miles per hour, though not at the same time, and was created with the goal of reducing urban pollution and offering a simpler, quieter driving experience. Ford invested £10 million into the project, but ultimately decided it wasn't feasible for production. Even so, the Comuta marked an early attempt to create a small, practical electric vehicle, and it showed that Ford was already thinking about the future of electric cars back in the 60s. Next on the list is a concept that aimed to take the sporty hatchback idea to another level: the 1976 Ford Corrida. While Volkswagen had already made waves with the Scirocco, Ford looked to target a smaller segment with this gull-wing-doored coupe based on the new European Fiesta S model. Unveiled at the 1976 Turin Motor Show, the Corrida was designed by Ghia and featured a large glass area, modular dashboard, and front-wheel drive. It was Ford's vision of a small sports car, complete with innovative features like electrically operated headlamp covers and distinctive gull-wing doors that opened upwards, offering easy access even in tight parking spaces. The Corrida also had a unique bottom hinge tailgate which could be locked open to extend the load space. However, despite its innovative features, Ford's senior management ultimately didn't commit to putting the Corrida into production. So, while it didn't make it to the production line, it remains an interesting footnote in Ford's attempt to make a compact sports car with a bit of style. If you're enjoying the videos, consider subscribing. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. It takes just 1 second, but it helps a lot. Next up is the Ford Packar, a compact little concept that focused on making the most out of limited space. The name blended pocket and car, and that wasn't just a cute idea. This thing actually had exterior door storage accessed by bottom-hinged panels. You could stash small bags or gear in the doors without even opening them. Those outside compartments didn't make it to production, but some of the layout choices inside did. Later versions of the Fiesta, Escort, and Sierra borrowed a few tricks from the Packar's cabin, especially how it handled storage and space. At just 129 inches long, the Packar was a four-seater that packed a lot into a small footprint. The large wraparound bumpers followed the shape of the side luggage compartments and helped with parking in tight spots. Its rectangular headlights came with built-in wraparound turn indicators, and there was a single wiper up front to keep the windshield clear. Inside, the same luggage compartments in the doors doubled as armrests. While it never made it to showrooms, some of its features found new life years later, like in the design of the dash binnacle for the Ford Ka, which wouldn't hit the streets until 1996. Continuing the lineup is the Ford Brezza, a concept that stood out not just for its layout, but also for the person behind it. Designed by Marilena Corvache, it made history as the first car from a major manufacturer to be designed by a woman. She handled both the exterior and interior of the compact mid-engine two-seater. The Brezza was Ford's look at a small sports car with the engine mounted behind the seats. It used a 1.6-liter CVH engine from the Escort Mark III, and while it started with an automatic transmission, Ford also floated the idea of a 5-speed manual before shelving the project altogether. Its shape was all about reducing drag. It had a rounded nose, retractable headlamps, a flush glazed windshield, and rear wheels tucked behind fairings. Underneath, a partial belly pan helped smooth out airflow. The Brezza was 157 inches long, 65 inches wide, and just 48 inches tall, riding on a 91-inch wheelbase. Next up is the Ford Barchetta, a concept that nearly gave the world a fun, affordable roadster 6 years before the Mazda MX-5 hit the scene. Built on the Fiesta XR2 platform, the Barchetta was powered by an 86-horsepower 1.6-liter engine and featured a front-wheel drive layout. Its name, Italian for little boat, fit the open-roof design and lightweight spirit of classic European sports cars. It had flush lighting, a wedge-shaped body, and a scissor-style fabric top that tucked neatly behind the seats. Designed by Ford of Europe and Ghia and built in Turin, it was meant to be a simple, low-priced convertible with a fun-to-drive feel. When it showed up at the Geneva Motor Show in 1984, the public response was huge. But despite all that buzz, Ford pulled the plug on it. The only trace of what might have been came later in the form of the Mercury Capri from Australia in 1991. The Barchetta might have been short-lived, but it showed what could be done with an existing platform and just how close Ford came to redefining the small sports car before anyone else did. Continuing the streak of sporty concepts, Ford's next shot came in the form of the Mach. Unveiled at the Turin Motor Show, the Mach was a mid-engine sports car designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro at Italdesign. It was built around a 250 horsepower 3-liter V6 developed in partnership with Yamaha years before the two would team up again for the Puma's engine. There was real talk of production, with Ford reportedly considering building up to 50 cars per day. Its low, wedge-like shape was designed for aerodynamic efficiency, and inside it offered surprisingly roomy accommodations, along with a steering wheel loaded with buttons to control most of the car's functions. Despite the excitement and a decent amount of buzz, the Mach joined the long list of concepts that never made it past the prototype stage. Rounding out the list is the Cobra ME 230, Ford's final entry in this string of sporty concepts from the 80s. After passing on the chance to challenge the Pontiac Fiero with the Brezza, Ford circled back to the mid-engine idea in 1986 with this low-slung two-seater. Unlike most Ford concepts, this one wasn't built by Ghia. It was assembled by French company Chausson. Under the rear hatch sat a 2.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder producing 230 horsepower. Ford claimed it could hit 60 miles per hour in 6 seconds and top out at 130, with a drag coefficient as low as 0.33 and potentially even lower with some tweaks. It also held its own in the wind tunnel. Inside, the Cobra ME 230 featured power lumbar bucket seats, leather trim, and controls laid out for easy access. While it looked ready to take on the world, the project never advanced beyond the concept stage. Still, its styling echoed into the more mainstream Ford probe that followed. As an honorable mention, there's the Ford Capri RS 2800. It was meant to follow in the footsteps of the RS 2600 and RS 3100, giving Ford a real contender for the European Touring Car Championship. Development was approved through the Advanced Vehicle Operations Team, and under the hood would have been a US-sourced 2.8-liter V6. They were aiming for 2,000 units per year. But when the AVO division got shut down, the whole thing collapsed before anyone even had the chance to put their name down for one. Honestly, maybe it's just me, but something about the RS 2800's vibe makes me think of the Hyundai Envision 74. The attitude feels similar, even though they're from completely different eras. So, now I'm curious, what do you think of these cars? Is there one you'd add to the list? And out of the ones I've covered, is there one you'd want to see me make a full video about? Let me know in the comments. The information in this video was gathered from two main sources: archives from the Ford Heritage Vault and an article from Classic and Sports Car. As always, you can find the sources in the Google Doc linked in the description. I recommend checking them out for more details. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and click on the recommended video that appears on the screen. It's all about the legendary Plymouth Hemi Cuda, a muscle car that defined power and performance in the 1970s. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.